Good morning. Got a quick little project today, and what we're doing is building some tool trays for the milling machine. Hopefully this isn't too loud in here. I got the 3D printer running here, printing the last rail for on these little tool trays. So thought I'd show you what I've got. This is a little project or an idea that I've shamelessly stolen from a YouTuber called Clow42. And if you haven't seen his stuff, you probably should go check it out. He's got a pretty polished YouTube channel that he does a whole lot of machining stuff and a lot of 3D printing stuff and things like that. So it's worth at least taking a look. It may be something that interests you, and he's got some good ideas. So anyway, this is pretty much a copy of his ideas. So what he's done has, or now what I've done, is taken some quarter sheet baking trays, just little cookie pans basically, that he ordered, or he got his from Costco, I believe he said. I ordered mine on Amazon, and I'll drop a link down below. And then 3D printed some rails that get screwed to the bottom of these cookie trays, and they'll fit down into the T-slots on your milling machine table, so they'll stop the chips for the most part from getting down into the T-slots and lost down into the table where you gotta spend hours cleaning them out, which I'm bad about. And it also gives you trays to put your tools in, so you're not just putting them on the mill table, which you've seen me do countless times and time again. So a lot of guys are using things like rubber hose down into the T-slots. Will stop part of that. 3D printing some protectors to go down in the T-slots, things like that. I saw this idea and I thought I'd give it a try. It looks like a pretty good solution, and we're going to join the video. I've already got these, I think, bolted down to the table, and just getting ready to drill them. It's a pretty simple project. You know, it's nothing that anybody couldn't figure out on their own. But I'll show the idea behind it. He drew his 3D printed rails out in Fusion 360, and I've done the exact same thing. So I laid them out in Fusion, and I've printed them out. Like I say, I've got the last one printing right now. I've done a little bit different variation on mine because with the power feed on one end of my table, why I had to raise the one tray up a little bit more. Now this is what these rails look like that we 3D printed. They've got 3 holes to mount them down. They're just 1/4 20. In my particular instance, they ended up being 4 inches apart. They've got a cutout here in the middle, and that's to thin the wall out in the bottom. And that's all they're for. So they've got little nubbins that are printed in top and bottom on both sides of these. You can see where they've been wearing to the table. This is just a prototype. So what happens is they're a little bit wider there, so they've got a little bit of flex, so that they'll sit down on the table and they'll kind of lock themselves in. Seems to work really well. There's plenty of flex in the 3D print for that little bit, you know, a little bit of trial and error to get them right. It's okay, got a little overlap there, but that's the way they look. So they sit down into the table just like that. There are 3 holes that are bolted through. So that's all there is to them. Pretty good idea, I think. I've played with it just a little bit since I've actually shot the main part of this video and everything. So far, I think I like them. Now mine's a little bit different in the aspect that he's got quite a bit bigger mill that he's affixed these to. So I've had to work around a little bit more on my smaller mill, but they look like they fit pretty well, and I think I'm going to be real happy with it. So this is the video joined in progress of what I got. Hopefully you can find something useful here. Alright, so here's my setup. You know, it's just clamped to the table. I lined it off the front just with a square, and I've marked where I want my holes to go. I've already got the spacing and everything. Mine are spaced 4 inches apart, which is just what worked for me. Now I've offset this down to one side a little bit, because on this end, why I could possibly intrude into the where I've got the table feed mounted, because I normally will mount my vise right about here, pretty much in the center. On this end, it will just extend beyond a little bit, not a big deal wherever I do it. On this end, why the power feed box will interfere with it. So what I've got printing right now is I took this same profile and I extended the top of this down so it will raise that pan up just a little bit and get us clear of this this surface right here. So that's the plan. We're already centered up. DRO's centered up, and all that's left is just to punch the holes. let's just do a little reality check here, because I haven't fully vetted this digital readout to make sure our compensation is perfect. I checked it and it looked awful close, and this looks just right on. So we're going to run with that. There's the first side, looks good. I will have to grab some more screws. I've got a box of stainless hex screws that I've got for the tool tower here next to the mill, that I've got the rest of the box someplace, and of course in my illustrious organization here I can't find it, so I'll have to either dig it up or grab another box of screws. So I'm going to go ahead, deburr this, and we'll get the first rail mounted, and then see what it looks like from there. Here we are set up with the other side. I just took my square, drew a line across, double checked it, and clamped her back down again. Okay, there we go. Now I'd originally thought this was double thickness bakeware with an air gap in between, but it's not. It's only apparently it's only a single layer, but it's a pretty stout little aluminum baking sheet. I'm pretty happy with them. Once we get the right size screws in there and everything, why that's the way they look on the bottom, we'll do the same thing on this side. Now the orange one that I'm putting back on here, I've got a green one printing, so they're all matching. We had to get some more green filament so it kind of matched the mill. So let me deburr this one, and we'll get the other rail installed, at least so we can take a look at it and make sure it fits. All right, so here's the way they fit. Like I say, I've still got to get screws, but you get them mounted like that. Vise sits right here. There it is. We've got a tray to hold our stuff. Got something to keep most of the chips from getting down underneath and filling up the T-slots. And, you know, got a little plastic there, so there's not going to be any galvanic action between the pans and the table from sitting on there. So I think that's a pretty good solution. I'm going to go ahead and get the other one drilled, and the next time you see these, why, we'll have the proper screws in them and have them sitting. Well, I didn't want to leave you hanging. Thought we'd finish this out. I've still got one rail printing for the back side of the taller posts, and it'll be done printing later today. These are all done. Other than that, just screw them on. This is the way it looks. Got my rails on the back. A little bit of water. We just came out from the house with this. But works really well. You know, I mean, I think it's a good solution so far. It looks pretty good. So it's right into the tray. This is just about the center of the table where the vise would normally sit. Now the vise will sit farther forward into this front set of T-slots, although we may make some changes to that too. So I'll have to do a filler for this back T-slot, but this is just about in the center. On the other side, I've made my standoffs half an inch taller, or not quite half an inch, but another quarter inch taller to clear the power feed on this side. This power feed assembly comes up just a half an inch, so I've got a taller profile here, which I don't know if that really thrills me or not, but I think it'll work fine, and we'll try it. See, these are quite a bit narrower, so we've made these a full half inch thick, but they just sit right into the table just like that, fairly secure. And I think it might be a pretty good idea. So we'll try it out and see how it works and go from there. So hopefully you found that a little bit useful. Maybe that's something you can utilize in your shop. But so far I think I like them. Comments, suggestions, leave them in the comment section for me below, guys. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch.